Meet Malone Lamb. See, in this picture, he's celebrating because him and his friends just got done stealing $200 million. But him and his friends had a problem because after they stole that $200 million, him and his friends went straight to the club, went straight to the dealership, went straight to Louis Vuitton. Them boys started blowing that
240 M's, dog? No way. They just had a back end of all back ends, bruh.
Cash, which as you can imagine got them some unwanted attention. But before we get into that, I know what you're wondering. How did they get all this money in the first place? Well, you see, one day or night, I don't know, I wasn't there, Malone checked his pockets.
This kid, yo, he was all over the Miami news. Yo, this kid's a legend. He's a legend, bro.
He said, I'm broke. So he decided to get a job. The job title was scammer. Malone then finds other people in a chat room that want to scam like him, and they form a scam group. Real quick, I want you to take a look at how old they are. Now you could probably understand why they went straight to the club as soon as they got a bunch of money. But again, we're before they got a bunch of money, okay? So they meet up in a chat room. Malone said, look, I'm trying to shine like the rappers in them. Take pictures. Smile for the camera like Uzi and them with the handbag. Who with me?
Bro.
His fellow scammers, Veer and Jondell, remember those names, said, yes, let's do it. And they did it. Them boys got good fat.
Phone him and said they did it. Oh, God.
And what they were doing was they were stealing cryptocurrency from rich people. And when I say stealing, I mean a couple $100,000 here, a couple million there. And here's where it starts to get wicked. As they're stealing money from these rich people, one day they find somebody who's super rich. They don't know how rich this person is just yet, but they know they're rich. So they decide to do their usual scam. They get this rich person's email information and they start, let's say, spamming this email so it looks like it's getting hacked, right? So this rich person is getting alerts like, oh man, somebody looks like they're trying to log into your account.
Yeah.
The rich person freaks out a little bit. But as this rich person, let's call them Richie. As Richie, the rich person, Richie is freaking out, he gets a phone call. Ring, ring, ring. It's from one of the boys. It's from one of the scammers. They said, hey, this is Google. It looks like your email is getting hacked. So why don't you, Richie, give us your email and password so we can log on and figure out what's going on for you. Richie says, my email and password? What you need that for? They said, to calibrate the email. You guys are Google, so you guys know what you're talking about.
Bro, that's literally so crazy because, bro, y'all be surprised how common this type of scam is, especially in places like South Florida, Broward County, Miami-Dade. This scam is like the duet combo. Back when it was coming out, there was no other way to, like, you couldn't escape this scam, and there was a method. These dudes put the method on Broadway for 24 hours. Everyone was running it.
Here's my email and password. Richie gives them his email password, but that's not enough. They also need Richie's two-factor authentication code, okay? But it's a little suspicious if you're asking for all this information. So Google, the scammers, they hang up. Richie gets another call. Ring, ring, ring. Richie said, hello? It's the scammers again. But this time they're saying, we're a cybersecurity company. We work adjacent with Google here and there. It looks like your account was getting spammed and all. Richie said, that's what I was telling Google. They said, yeah, we know. So we need your two-factor authentication code, Richie. Richie said, my two-factor authentication code? What you need that for? They said, to fix your stuff? Richie said, you guys are a security company. That makes sense. Here's my two-factor authentication code. Richie gives them the two-factor authentication code, but it's not enough. Malone, Veer, and Jondell are getting closer and closer. They find out through his emails, he has a bunch of crypto accounts. They said, perfect. But now they need the login and passwords for that. So they said, well, Richie kind of stupid. So let's just try calling them again. Ring, ring, ring. They said, Richie. Richie said, what's good, cybersecurity company? They said, we need you to download this app on your computer called AnyDesk. What AnyDesk lets you do is it lets you see what somebody's doing on their computer. Richie said, why?
Oh my gosh, bro. This is like a movie, bro. I cannot believe, bro. This is crazy because y'all be surprised. Everyone will say it's about the techno skills, the editing, the digital AI, the coding, even just the actual schematics or just the understanding of even having the systems in place. But the biggest thing about this, y'all, is the social skills needed. If these dudes said, if they even gave off even one shred of insecurity, There's no play. So some of y'all might think that you have to be this or that. Sometimes all you need to do is be a positive and a socially outgoing person. And for those people that are easily gullible, watch out for the socially outgoing. Some people are genuinely nice and just want to build friendships, but people that have this skill set, don't forget, the same way how people use skill sets to get better at reading, mathematics, algebra, psychology, the same way that you would spend your time elevating yourself and, putting yourself into the books. How do you think people who have these strong social skills get their skill set? Practice, repetition, every single day. It's not something to look up to, but just remember that not everybody around you is going to have the positive and the best interest for you. Even this man, Richie.
How y'all need me to do? They said, Richie, just do it. Richie said, all right, I'll do it. He downloads AnyDesk. They start watching Richie log into his crypto bank account. These scammers said, oh, Richie ain't real. They watching Richie type in his email password, and the boys, Malone, Veer, Jean Dell, and them see this. $240 million in crypto. Them boys said, God. Richie said, huh? They said, we so sad that you getting hacked. So we trying to save you. Richie said, okay, appreciate y'all. Y'all got all my information that I typed down and all that. They said, we gonna hang up, Richie. Y'all have a nice day. Richie said, I'm good. They said, we good. Richie said, we good? They said, we good. Them boys hang up and they take everything Richie got. They log in with the information that they saw Richie log in with. They take all his money. Now, how do I know all of this information? Well, you see, Malone, Veer, Jandel decided to record themselves doing all this.
It was GG's, y'all.
After they take all of Richie's money, them boys was celebrating. Then they said, you know what? This is what we got to do, though. We got to think smart. We have to take all this money and bring it to a bunch of other little accounts so it's untraceable. That's what they do. Then they decide, you know what else we got to do? We got to lay low, because usually when a heist happens, the criminals can't just spend the money immediately. We got to give it a few weeks. But after we go to the club, of course, because we got to celebrate. So the boys decide to go to the club. They spend $50,000, they spend $20,000, $100,000 on bottles. They see famous girls in the club, they see Instagram girls at the club, they just hand them out Birkin bags. They say, here you go, Birkin bag for you, Birkin bag for you. And it's at this point, they looked at each other and said, how could I lay low with all this jewelry on me?
Them boys is just back end bandits, bro. I can't believe this. So they actually ran off with 240 M's. And the second they get cheese, they go to Miami clubs with the cameras and splurge. No. Jai, they could have got away with it with no trace if they just were a little bit smarter, bro. Just a little bit smarter. Just a little bit smarter. If I was one of them boys, bro, I would have took my little 45, put it into my little in-betweens, put it into a few different places in South Miami, bro. I would have had some properties, some foreclosures, some things like that. My 45, 50 would have been in my own works, and I would have been vanished. Vanished, new identity, new works. We're Audi, bro. Audi. It's over with.
They buy cars, they buy houses. And it's at this point they attract the wrong kind of attention. Another group of crypto scammers looked at each other and they started hating. They said, damn, them boys Malone and them getting a whole lot of money. So this group gets together and they find out Veer is trying to buy his parents a crib. As Veer's parents are driving down the streets of Miami to look for houses, this group, boom, crashes into Veer's parents. See, this group's plan is to take Veer's parents hostage so Veer can pay ransom for them, right? As Veer's parents are disoriented because they just got into a crash, some other members of this group pull up in a van, take Veer's parents, throw them in the car, drive away. But the problem is they were doing this in broad daylight. So a cop sees them. Cop chases them down. This group swerves, they crash again. The cops surround them. They arrest these guys. Now, here's something I want you to understand.
Idiots.
Anytime something sounds like it's coming out of a movie, the FBI will always try to figure out where the camera's at. If a group of people try to pull off a crazy abduction in broad daylight, the FBI are going to be the first people to ask why. But even before recording of Malone, Veer, and Jandel recording themselves stealing the money, their names was in the video. Them folk calling each other by name. They said, Veer, Look at how much money we got. Malone Lamb.
These always just such great idiots. Dog, bro. Next time y'all still 240 IVs, bro, don't put it in a Discord recorded call and stop hitting them boys up at the same time and stop talking. It was too many to begin with. As soon as I saw over 4 names, it's just exponentials, bro. 4 to the power of 4 is 64. So that's a 1 in 64 chance that they would have been able to keep it quiet. Literally, it's just unrealistic at that point. 2 people, that's a 25% chance. 1 person, you got, it's literally just a 50% chance off for it. Once you got 4 to the power of 4, what's that? 8 to the power of 8, that's over 324. It's just unlikely that this would have ever stayed quiet. Hey man, free the real, bro, because they out here popping bottles out here with Fefe, model to Instagram. Bro, we was out here in Miami. This case was viral out here in Miami, bro. So this is ridiculous, man. Hey, free the real. Cloudy, where do we go?